Hello again. This is your last video for this week. I'm trying to keep this one short. I know I say it a lot, but I'm trying to keep this one as short as I can. Because what I want to do here is kind of review something that I hope is something you're familiar with, that you've heard of before, that they talked about last semester, which is the idea of the writing process. So what do we mean by this? What is the writing process? Again, I know how I teach Composition 1. When I teach it, the writing process is very important, probably the most important thing in the whole class. Unfortunately, I don't know if other people necessarily frame it that way, so I just wanted to touch on this quickly. So the writing process is very fundamental to what composition is, right? If composition is the study of kind of how we produce writing, if that's what it is, then the writing process is the number one answer to that question of how we go about doing it. So basically, the idea of the writing process is just that writing essays at the last minute, writing something the night before it's due, is just never going to give you the best version of it. It's possible, I'm like you guys. I used to wait until the night before to write a lot of my essays when I was in school. And, sometimes I would do really good on them. Sometimes I'd do better on the essay I wrote the night before than the one that I did, started a week in advance or whatever. And that might happen, but I don't think we can count on that. And especially as you go through college, I think there's going to be a time where you're like, all right, I'll just get through this essay the night before, I'll just bust it out, get it done. And it just won't work. There's gonna be a time when you're gonna be waiting for that magic, and you'll be looking at a blank page, and it just won't come. Also, I think this is an excessively painful way to write an essay. Because again, you're staring at that screen, the essay is due in 15 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, as you're up all night trying to do it. And I think that is just, yeah, not good for our mental health in any way. I think that's an extremely anxiety-inducing way to write. And I really do truly believe that will not be the best version of the essay. So I think that the way we need to do it is to go through these steps. So, what are some of these steps? And I'm not saying that everyone has to go through every single one of these, or that these look the same for everyone. I think that the important thing is that you try to find your own writing process, right? That everyone's might be a little bit different. I think a lot of them will include some of these steps, but you've got to find out what works for you, right? Because when you're in these higher level classes, teachers aren't going to spend time talking about this stuff. They're just going to give you an essay and they're just going to be like, get it done. And then if you hand it in and they don't like it, they're gonna get a bad grade, right? So we've got to find our own process so that when we get that assignment in a higher level class to write, a 7-page essay, that we're like, all right, here are some steps I can take to try to get this done, and get the best grade I can and all that. Okay, so I would say the first step, and I know you've heard a lot of these before, but I'd say the first step is brainstorming, right? I think a lot of these, have been done very poorly, especially in high school. I think these are taught very poorly. Like brainstorming, I remember having to do those graphic organizers. I don't know if you guys had to do these. The one I had to do, it was like four boxes, and then like a bar in the middle, and in the middle you write your thesis, and this is your first paragraph, and your second paragraph, and then your conclusion. And you have to like fill it in like that, right? And I hated doing those. I know you guys hated doing those. I know that none of us feel like that helped us. However, I do think it's important to, get some ideas written down before you really start writing the paper. Sometimes when I do brainstorming, it could just be like in my notebook. Usually I don't type up brainstorming. I would just write it in my notebook or something. And then maybe I just write a quick paragraph just about like what I want to do with my essay, or like, just get some of your main ideas down on paper, right? A lot of what I'm going to say about the writing process and how I'm going to try to have us write essays in this class is going to have to do with just like getting stuff down and letting it kind of marinate for a few days, and then coming back to it and reworking it and reorganizing it and stuff. And I really think that's not the correct, that's the best way, the easiest and most painless, and ultimately that will give you the best writing way to do. So brainstorming, yeah, it could just be jotting down like a paragraph. It could be doing research sometimes, depending on what your topic is. Sometimes looking at what other people have said on this topic can help you to get your own ideas. But sometimes with that, you also fall into the trap of like when you read what other people have said, you just can't think of anything else, so you just start saying what they said. That's not a great way to do it. But yeah, I would try to do some sort of brainstorming. After that, I would try to get a thesis and an outline. So we're going to talk a lot about the thesis next week, how to write one, how like what they should look like and stuff like that. but mostly it's your main argument, right? It's the main idea, it's the main argument you're going to be making. So I would try to come up with a thesis, not necessarily one sentence, maybe a couple sentences, maybe a bullet point, but I would try to come up with one of those, and then an outline of having just like some of the paragraphs, maybe not all of them. And again, I think outlines are done really poorly, especially in high school. Like I remember in high school, I had to do the outlines with like the Roman numerals and the big A and the little a and all this kind of stuff. That stuff sucks. We don't like it. Doesn't help. But you need to find your own way of doing an outline, right? For me, I just do some bullet points. I do like, okay, paragraph one. Here's the main idea of paragraph one. Here's like a quote that I know I'm going to use in paragraph one. Here's something else that I want to say in this paragraph. And then, okay, paragraph two. And just kind of making like some bullet points and dashing stuff off like that. I think this is actually really helpful. You know what? I'm probably going to talk about it in another video, so I won't say too much. But I really encourage you finding your own way to make an outline work for you. After that, we have drafting, which we are going to be doing rough drafts. I know you guys don't like this, but I think I have a very good approach to rough drafts. I think there's a way that they can work for us. Like I've said about everything else, I think that it's been taught very badly in the past. I have an essay that we're going to read about writing rough drafts that I think is going to help us out. So I won't say too much now. But rough drafts, part of the writing process. Getting feedback is part of the writing process. In this class, you will always get feedback on a rough draft before you have to hand in a final draft. So I really care a lot about doing this, and I try to give very good feedback. So I just don't ever want students to be in the position where they're like, I don't know if I'm doing this assignment right, but they're handing it in for a grade. So for me, the rough draft is kind of that, right? Where you can get confirmation from me that you're going in the right direction. I'll make some suggestions. If you're not going in the right direction, I'll let you know that too. One thing I'll say right now is that my rough drafts don't have to be the full length of the essay. They don't need to be finished products. They can just be a couple of pages of what your argument is, but we'll talk more about that later. So getting feedback, and then we have revision, right? Then you want to read my comments that I leave you, and I'm not just going to tell you what to do. You know, I'm not going to say do this and do that. I'm just going to raise questions or ask you questions or make suggestions or whatever. So then you're going to want to kind of, you know, look at all that stuff, think about it on your own, reread it, and make some revisions. And then finally, we have proofreading. And I think proofreading is different from revision in that proofreading, you're just looking more for like typos, kind of, for, you know, if you put capital letters, commas, this sort of thing. And like I said, I'll give you advice on how to do all of these, but I just wanted to kind of set up the basic idea of all of these steps. So brainstorming, thesis and outline, drafting, getting feedback, revising, proofreading. So when we write essays in this class, we're going to try to go through most of those steps. I'm not going to require all of them for each essay. Like, they're all going to have drafts. For one of them, I might require an outline. For another one, I might require a brainstorm. We'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to kind of recap this idea of the writing process and making sure that we have that approach in this class. I think it will help a lot. All right. Talk to you soon.